Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Jeff Seeley. He is CEO of Karoo International. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Gerhard.
Let's talk about relationships. We live in the era of social media where it's very easy to connect. However, a lot of salespeople have problems in transferring that connection to a relationship that's active and productive.
You've just hit on a point that's really near and dear to my heart, is a lot of people think that connection, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook, or even email conversations or swapping of voicemails, is often confused for a relationship. What that is the embers of a relationship for both parties. And so what it takes then from the sales professional is, and the client both, is to now get into engagement. And how do you engage with the client that has true meaning? And a lot of sales professionals mistake technology for being engagement, and the reality is it's not. And so what that takes is still that human-to-human connection that we have to have great sales relationships, but also great business relationships. If you don't have that connection, then it's low likelihood you're going to have a whole lot of success.
So, in order to transform embers into fire, you need to do two things. You need to put in a bigger log and more oxygen. How can you transfer that analogy into action steps for salespeople?
First off, it's the information that you give your customers. So, to create engagement, people have to be curious to want to follow you, so to speak, or to listen to you, or be engaged with you. And a lot of times we think about talking about ourselves creates that engagement. Well, what we need to do is be giving them information that's about them. So it becomes really about the customer or the person we're trying to engage with. Here's an interesting article from Harvard Business Review, or the Wall Street Journal, or Forbes, or some unique little blog that is really not around why you're really great, but why this might be interesting to talk to you. So there used to be a really great quote that Colin Powell used to talk about great leaders, which was, he wasn't a great leader because they wouldn't even follow him out of morbid curiosity. And I think as you think about engagement, they want to engage with you because they're curious about what you're talking about, what you're doing, and that you're different than every other person trying to engage with them.
So what's changed since the formula that was invented in the 50s? Attention, interest, desire, action.
You know, I don't know that it's changed that much. It's just how you deliver that becomes, and there's more blocking mechanisms. You know, if you think about even 15 years ago, if someone called your phone, there was a pretty good chance you were going to answer it. There wasn't all these ways to avoid them through technology or through technology avoidance. Well, now it becomes you have to have a conversation, and it's truly a one-way conversation, but it has to start with a conversation of why there's interest in talking to you. You have to make yourself interesting. So there's, the biggest thing is we confuse social media and those things that we're interesting, and the reality is we're only interesting if we offer something that the customer really can learn from.
Right. It's what some famous sales trainer once said. You don't want to be an interesting extrovert, but an interested introvert.
The whole concept of giving people information and wanting to listen. I always joke about, sales relationships are a lot like interpersonal relationships. If we're doing a lot of talking in interpersonal relationships, they usually don't go so well. And so when we're listening, though, we're engaged with people, all of a sudden, they want to give us more information. I've learned more things about people from just asking one question and listening for 10 minutes than I ever did by asking or speaking on my own behalf.
But the paradigm has shifted. You want to create interesting content online that helps the buyer's self-education journey. But when you convert that online relationship to a direct relationship, you need to shift back and draw out the customer.
And I would even go one step further as the relationship builder. You not only need to have interesting relationship information online, but you need to provide your customer with interesting information. So don't make them search for it. Give it to them. Here you're almost putting it on the plate and saying, here, this might be really helpful for you to look at. I don't want you to have to Google this or YouTube this. Just take a look at it and tell me what you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff, for sharing your perspective. Anybody would like to get more information, go to Karoo.com.